Because I wanna move on from this, and jump into now. And now I'm jumping into the woman's perspective. We've spoken about Simon so much, but now I really want to jump into the woman perspective in a sense that, with all of these things happening, and like I said, after we had the conversation, I feel like I had much better empathy and sympathy for the ladies in a sense that, no, man, we can jump out and say, I would never be that person, I would never. But truth is, maybe the bulk of people in humanity have been in this position. And how do we then, going forward, especially in this new dating culture and, just the normal dating culture, how do you, I know people always say read in between the lines, but when you listen, how do you listen, but also further listen again, meaning that you're able to join the dotted lines, you're able to assess certain things while you're listening, and it's such a conscious process, and that's why we always speak about ukuthi, the dating process. For the longest time, us in the black culture, it never existed. When we say ukuthi we're dating,
you're in a full-blown relationship.
We're in a full-blown relationship. Just for people that are watching, in the black culture, it's not a thing.
There's no dating.
There's no dating. It's different now, don't get me wrong. With our generation, it is different. But for the longest time, when someone says, oh, I'm going on a date, we just know you're going to see your boyfriend. You guys are in a full-blown relationship,
exclusive.
And it intrigues me how it's I feel like it's also another topic we can speak about. Actually, going on a date is actually going to get to know somebody, and that's where you'll have conversations. And in those conversations, because in a date we tend to put the best foot forward. So Simon, it's the same thing. He put his best foot forward. He brought the jets, he brought the Rolls Royce, the plane tickets. Same thing in a date. Nobody comes out and says and cries and says, I just got out of a 10-year hectic relationship, and scares the person away. Everybody wants to be nice, everyone wants to smile, everyone wants to portray that, hey, I am this person. It's not necessarily bad, but it can tend to throw people off. That's why it's good to go on a first date, a second date, and a third date, because I feel the more comfortable we get, the more real we start getting towards each other.
We drop our
guards. But for some people, they haven't. I know we've had conversations with a group of friends and people where it's almost like, I get that, but I've been on 4 dates and I still fell for this. So now the challenge is it a thing of how do you learn to listen, but listen to what the person is saying, and how do you analyze it, and how do you how do you paint a picture of what they're saying?
I get you. I don't think there'll ever be one correct answer for that question.
True.
But what I always say is that most times we hear people based on our hearing, like based on how we perceive things, and not based on what they're saying. So that's why I always say that it's so important that whenever you experience like a significant type of relationship, like whether it was a hard breakup or, take some time and figure yourself out. Because also remember that the more time we spend with people, they rub onto us and we rub onto them. So that's why it's so important to sort of detox yourself each time before you get involved in another relationship, so that you hear yourself clearer, and so that you figure so that you figure yourself out better, so that when you're getting to know somebody, you're getting to know them based on what they're saying and how they're portraying themselves.
Based on your previous...
not based on what you're hearing them to say, or not based on the ears of your previous relationship and everything else that's going on in your mind that you haven't dealt with.
I get you. You said something that really sparked a thought in me. It's also not so much for the conversation, but we're breaking down this whole Tinder Swindler thing. You said it's good that you take time to detox yourself out of the previous relationship you were in. And I personally feel like it's like one of those subjects that everybody says that, and everybody says take time, and everybody says that, but nobody ever says how, which I see as the problem. Like, everybody, you watch every YouTube channel, every podcast, every single, even in church sermons, in the temple, in the mosque, everybody will say, take time to find yourself again, take time to detox, take time to A, B, C, and D.
Yeah.
And somebody might
says,
think that they are taking time. Somebody will take a month and cry over
and
it.
it's time.
And they think they are taking
time,
time, but only to find that they didn't detox.
Yes.
So they're
just
just
dealing with the
the
things
same.
that they're supposed to deal with. Because my time could be 2 weeks. And that would be me taking time and doing the groundworks. And your time could be 2 months. And you still wouldn't have done like the groundwork. And that's why, unfortunately, fortunately and unfortunately, I'll always advocate for therapy, because it mirrors, it puts a mirror to yourself. Like it makes you aware of things about you that make you more attracted to certain types of people. And it gives you the opportunity to deal with those things so that those attractions don't happen again. Or it helps you heighten parts of you that are most likely gonna make you attract somebody who's actually gonna be good for you. Is
that a part of the groundwork? I do feel that this is another big topic.
It is. Yeah. It definitely is a part of the
one
groundwork.
Of the things you
yes,
can do.
Because that's why I'm saying that for me, I can take 2 weeks. And that could be enough time for me taking time away. Okay. And for some, because I would know what to do in those 2 weeks. I would know that I'm listening to particular podcasts that speak about something that I've just experienced, or that speak about how to get over dating a narcissist, or how to get over dating an abusive person. I would read books. I would Google information about this. If I can't go for therapy, there's other resources that are available. I would look for YouTube channels about people that speak about it, and I'll try to, figure it out within myself that, okay, what is it about me, that made me be in this position, and, try to go for therapy. But if you can't, try to look for other resources that can help you figure it out, so that next time you meet somebody who might be stirring you in a similar direction, because there's a different level of awareness. You hear that person differently. You hear that person based on what they're saying, and not based on what you want to hear them say.
That is so powerful, though.
So that's why I could do that process in 2 weeks, and you could just be sitting at home saying, I'm taking time for 2 months,
and
you're
find
not
yourself
doing
in
anything,
a similar
and you
relationship
find yourself
again
replicating. And remember, the more times it happens, the more times, like, the stronger it sticks. So the more it becomes part of who you are, and the harder it's going to be.
So the next relationship you get into, it feels
you're
and D.
desensitized to the same thing, but like it piggybacks something else, because each relationship teaches us or takes something from us.
This is so tricky. Hectic. So it's going back to the thing. Then how do you teach yourself, or what resources can you indulge in to help you listen, but listen to what is happening in between? So, for example, it's also simple things like, somebody might say, what is the most simple thing I can say? I used to love jungle oats as a kid, but I don't eat it anymore.
I get you.
That's such a simple line that I just said, but some people won't think, why don't you eat it anymore? My mom used to make it and I used to love it, but nobody makes it like her anymore, maybe because she passed away.
Yeah.
And that opens up another door. How is your relationship with your mom? That's what I'm trying to say, that something as simple as saying that about jungle oats will open up about the mom, and can open up a conversation about understanding his relationship with his mom, which could bring context to this is his. But the thing is, that's what I'm trying to say. How do you develop that? How do I go deeper than just the jungle oats and be like, what else do you eat? Whereas if you're a person that's paying attention, you want to go in depth and actually listen and understand.
I get you.
That's what's happening.
You. I think it's just one of those human qualities as well that probably life experiences will teach us, because I can't give a how-to book on what are the right questions to ask somebody when you're trying to get to know them. But number one, learn to know yourself, figure yourself out first.
Okay.
And secondly, learn to figure somebody else out as well. So if I know myself, if I know how to figure out certain things about me, then it makes it easier for me to learn how to figure somebody else out too. So you're at a place where you've been through your own journey, where there's certain things that you've learned how to figure out for yourself.
Okay.
Where you've learned how to ask yourself the right questions, and where you've learned how to dig deep within yourself. And that's how you're able to be able
to do the same.
To do that to somebody else. But
okay.
As cliche as it sounds, and I'm sounding like a very typical therapist right now, but fortunately and unfortunately, that's why the journey to self is so important. You cannot know how to love somebody else if you don't love yourself. You cannot learn how to trust somebody else if you don't trust yourself. You cannot learn how to hear somebody else if you cannot listen to yourself. Everything that we do will always be based on the perceptions of everything that we've been through that we haven't learned to figure out or to deal with, other than what it really truly is. Yes. We're running out of time.
I know. We might have to make those 2 parts, which I think would be cool. All right, last couple of questions. That I just want to, I think my point right now in the second half is that I just want to break this down to us, normal people. South Africa. This also reminds me of instances where you get a friend, you hear of a story where the guy or the girl is like, hey, I dated this person for 6 months. The most thoughtful, the most kind, the most gentle person I've ever dated. We either got married or we started staying together, and that person switched up. 2 sides, and it's almost like it was 2 people in one person. That's how much of a switch up it is. And this also kind of reminds me of that, because we get a full picture. It's one thing if the story was just being told by the victims, but it's another because now they get to show us his life and them going through this whole thing,
so
we get to see both sides. And for me, this feels like that if we only saw this side.
Yeah.
Because it feels like the Simon of
them.
Getting to know what, then quickly, now is the Simon who just switched up, who's swearing at them, wanting money, So that's what I'm saying. It sort of reminds me of that. And what I want to get to in that question is that for both male and female, in those instances, because I guess it's something, through Tinder Swindler, it's something that happens and it's something that's real. It also comes back to the thing of Guti, you're also very inclined to say, but I would have seen the red flags. In most cases, I think after you go for therapy and stuff, you do realize that there were red flags.
Yeah.
But are people that are doing that good? And 2, how can you learn to identify the red flags in the kind, gentle, sweet part of them? Because now, for 6 months, you can't tell me that this person is so nice and sweet. They get married, next thing you know, he's abusive.
Thing is, we get so caught up sometimes, we get so caught up in the hype of everything that's happening that we really forget to listen and to look and to be present and intentional about getting to know somebody. Sometimes we rush too quickly into the idea in our heads of what we would like it to play out to be, that we start seeing it play out, or we start constructing everything that happens to fit what we want it to be in our minds, we end up missing certain parts of the journey. So that's why, I like that you said that, you'll go to therapy and you realize that the red flags were there, because the red flags are there. The red flags are there. You just have to be more intentional in really getting to know this person, or in really getting to figure this thing out, so that you don't get caught up. Because remember, this person is trying to impress you at the end of the day.
Yeah.
A red flag is not something that happens, where the person will be like, I'm just gonna give a red flag here and there. No, red flags are things that happen naturally without the person, consciously, trying to control it. It's sort of like something that will just happen. If you're
it's
a
almost
violent
like if you're
person,
a program and something goes off the program for a bit and it gets back, you're supposed to see that that went detour.
Because it still goes back to the program. So if you're a violent person and I ask you, I don't know, for something and you snap, and we're just trying to get to know each other and you snap, but then you still go back to being the like the lovey-dovey person, and then every now and again you just, like, all of those things are red flags. But because we get so caught up in what we want it to be and in what it makes us feel about ourselves, and and like all of these, I don't know, like all of these aspects of it that sort of give us a particular feeling or a particular thought or a particular belief, that we actually forget the reality of it. And the reality of it is that the red flags will always be there, but you won't see them unless you're intentionally looking to see everything.
I love what you just said, in a sense that the person will snap. And isn't it so interesting how, because you want to feel what you're saying, to feel a certain way, you ask them about it, and they'll say such a nice story that you end up making an excuse for them.
For them, yes.
You would say, oh, I'm so sorry.
Because they
I
have
went through
to fit this picture of them that you've created in your mind. And only you can narrate that. So Simon is not, not Simon, but the other person is not responsible for the picture or the story of them that you create in your head. You do that.
I get you.
You do that. So that's why it's so important to be in a space where we go through a journey of discovering ourselves and discovering what is it about us that creates these narratives, so that when we see it happening, because remember, just because you're aware doesn't mean it's not going to happen. It just means that when it happens, there will be a different level of awareness. It'll be like, okay, I see myself doing this now. Let me get some help. Let me change my strategy. Let me seek advice. Let me read up more. Let me, That's the difference that therapy makes in our lives, because you are still the same person, but at least now you know what makes you tick. And when you feel yourself about to tick, you know what to do. Like, you get help.
I get you.
You get a different opinion. And
yeah, this Tinder Swindler thing is, as you can tell, this is the part 2 of the podcast, and it's just really so much to speak about. But I want to draw this back to the essence of why we decided to do this topic. One, there's just so many things that we noticed out of it that are very psychological, that have to do with mental health, with relationships, with getting to know people, which is what we are as human nature. But the other part of it that really sparked it is that it sparked it from a place of, I first, to be honest, kind of did judge those women.
Yeah.
I first did kind of say, no, man, there's no ways. So much of money, there is no way, it will never happen to me. But the more we started speaking about it, the more you helped me, and both of us helped each other to actually open up our minds and see what a psychological process it was for it to actually get to that place.
For everyone.
But and also the fact that we're busy judging them only to find that we have been through the same thing.
Yeah.
It might not have been jets, but we have done it in similar,
different
ways and different scales. Yeah. So I just firstly wanted to get back to what happened to those ladies is really not on, and it is not okay.
It's
and
not.
If ever they do come across this, we are really sorry that you had to go through that. I hope Netflix pays you some money to get rid of that debt, because that's a lot of money. It's really not nice. And we do empathize with you guys, and we do sympathize, and we do see how messed up this world is and the whole process was. And this was just, as much as we opened up a lot of different topics of the same thing, it was all coming back to this. All of us should really try to step out from a space of judging people, and really listen to their story, listen to the process of how it got to where it got to, and also, if you really look deep inside into the actual topic, you'll really find that you might have also been a victim to it, or it might also, happen to you.
That happens to you.
Yeah. So I think for me, that's just what I wanted to get from you. Also, the psychological process, and less judgment.
Less judgments.
Yeah.
People go through so many different things, and unfortunately, we live in a world where people can always instantly share their opinion about everything like that. Like, something has to happen. Like, a show will play at 8, and a scene will happen at 1 minute past 8. At 2 minutes past 8, there'll be a meme. There'll be a meme. So let's just be kinder. Let's just try to, not be as judgmental, or not be nasty, and like not be negative. Let's try to always think about things. Try to always be more empathetic. Or even if you can't be empathetic about something, then rather not comment about it, you know, because you don't know what it's like for the person who's going through that particular thing. So let's just exercise kindness. Let's be more loving and more nurturing and just kinder, you know. Like, people are going through so much, you guys. Like, you will never know the type of stuff that people are going through. So if we're always going to be responding from a place of I, you'll never know how many people you're affecting out there. So let's just be kinder. Let's just be kinder. That's the message that we wanted to leave you guys with today. And I'm so sorry that it's such a long video, but I do know though that you know, you guys are going to learn so much about human dynamics, about yourselves, and just about other different social aspects of the human behavior and of experiences, and, like, you know, just stuff like that.
Yeah. Well,
so I'm glad that we did this. And I know for sure that somebody's going to learn something. And
I did. It was glad. I learned, what's that word? What?
Histrionic.
Histrionic.
Why do I go?
Let me tell you something. Histrionic. Right?
No, don't be going around diagnosing everyone, Acha, and be like, I learned this from
I'm listening to you, and I sense a bit of histrionic in you. And I just think that it's something you have to...
This is why I don't bring you out often.
Now I have a new word now. I don't play.
Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Please take care of yourselves. Remember, be kind. You know, be kind, be present, be aware of yourself, and be intentional in everything that you're doing, even if it includes somebody else. Like, be intentional and be intentional in your workspace, be intentional in your relationship with your friends. You know, don't just be like, Usman is my friend, and whenever I'm going through a hard time, I know that I can go speak to them. But what are you doing, or how are you cultivating the relationship so that they can say the same about you? You know, so, like, we're so used to always doing things that, you know, please comment, and let us know what you guys think, what you guys learned, or what you guys figured out.
What questions might people have? Maybe there might be a part 3.
Maybe we might have...
Maybe there might be so many questions that there might be a part 3
yes,
about this.
and answer some of the questions that you guys might have. If there's something that maybe we shared that was incorrect as well, you know, give us some enlightenment. Give us some enlightenment.
Send us some emails. We'll read through it and we'll share it.
And we'll share that with everybody
get to know.
else.
And I just want to say this has been a very histrionic podcast. And it's just been so narcissistic to be here. It's just...
Bye, guys.
The diagnosis analyzed by me and my colleagues
and cuts
has led into me knowing that you really just have to see a therapist. You just have to.